Good morning, Saints. Well, I was hesitant to do another video. I know when you get a few videos back to back to back on days, lots of people just tune out, but there's just, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm back from a little working vacation here and back looking at all this stuff, but just lots of stuff that I think the Lord is showing me, and so I'm gonna keep doing videos here until basically I feel like I've put out there what I think the Lord wants to have exposed. So today we're looking at the Gog Magog forming situation and just some, in my mind, earthquakes along those lines was kind of filtered through. Now this what you're seeing here is prophecyupdate.blogspot.com. And I believe this guy's name is, Brother Scott here. He's got a little about. He's been doing this blog for quite a while. You can see it goes back all the way to 2008. And what I like about it is he basically just grabs relevant headlines or relevant articles from the news, and there's not really commentary very much in here. And he presumes you know why this is important, but he does a real good job filtering stuff. You don't come here and read too much about things that really aren't biblical, and that's what he's looking at is the coming of Christ, watching for the signs of the coming of Christ. And so I read this every day just to kind of make sure I'm watching. And man, today he just got, this was just boom, boom, boom. Let's just read down these articles he's got in here. And you guys can come back and look at these, but I want to weave a little bit of a story here based on some other stuff that I've seen in the last few weeks as well. So here we go. Erdogan hosts Putin to tighten Turkey-Russia alliance. And probably everybody that watches my channel is pretty familiar with this, but if not, one of the big end time battles that's coming. Lots of people say it's right at the beginning, just before, just after the beginning of the tribulation period. Russia in alliance with Turkey, or actually in alliance with Iran, Turkey, and Ethiopia, which has a broader definition than today's Ethiopia. I think it's put, but the northern countries across northern Africa come in against Israel. And wow, it's so, Turkey's been the odd, first it was Iran was the odd duck out. Iran had never had a relationship with Russia. Um, if you go back, 15 plus years ago, and now we know that's completely changed, and Russia's building, I guess they just got a contract for 8 more nuclear power plants in Iran, and Iran's clearly building nuclear capacity to create bombs, not energy. They're completely loaded down with oil. There's no other reason for this. And then you've got the Turkey was next, and Turkey was part of NATO, and they were West aligned, going all the way back. I think to the fall of the Ottoman Empire, really, which is early 1900s. And they were military control for the most part, and they tended to be Western aligned and neutral, even though the base of the population was Islamic. They had a very Western, pro-Western leaning posture and open for business and all that. Well, now this Erdogan first came in as prime minister. Now I think he's president. Yeah, president. Yep. And Turkey was rumored to be both the genesis both the genesis and the supply country for ISIS, and that's been rumored for a while, and we'll see a little bit more of that today. But so this is significant now that Erdogan hosted Putin, and just I want you to think about something for a second. When one country's head is hosted by another, who's initiating, right? If you want to go talk to, the head of something else because you want to propose something, you go to them. So I'm just going to set that stage a little bit because you got Putin coming to Erdogan, which, I would think naturally Putin would see himself as superior to Turkey and Erdogan, but now Putin's going to Erdogan. So to me, that speaks of he's proposing something. Let's look at the next headline here. Germany, DW, Deutsche Welle, I think is reports ISIS supply lines originate in Turkey. And you can go, this is a little bit more sketchy because it's a report coming from a video source that's on the internet, but it's consistent with what's been reported is that ISIS is being fueled by NATO backdoor through Turkey. And if you remember the whole Benghazi fiasco, they were taking guns and jihadis potentially out of Libya, and most people that tracked that said it was coming into Turkey and then down into the war in Syria. That's what was going on, and this is basically now they're saying hundreds of trucks a day coming out of Turkey refueling ISIS. And so you got to say, Turkey's a NATO member. If they're supplying ISIS, then what's going on with the U.S. and, quote, some coalition forces bombing ISIS? Well, the people have looked into this, said there's a lot of empty buildings being blown up, and you see report after report of how, the coalition forces just don't seem to be able to get after ISIS, that they're still making advance. And so they're being supplied by Turkey. We know we've had accidental supply drops that landed in the hands of ISIS. And so, it doesn't take any conspiracy thinking to see that, unfortunately, NATO, the Vatican, if you want to say, that seems to be backing all of this Western activity, is behind the spread of ISIS. And I'll let you dig into that one. If it's too radical for you, just drop it for a sec, because the rest of this stuff is too biblical and important here. And then we get this report here. Russia launches wartime government headquarters in a major military upgrade. And so Russia just opened up a new center where they would claim to operate the next war from. And then he's got an article here about how the U.S. is being set up to lose World War III. And so this is just bam, bam, bam. They're all in a row here. Now, I want to go back to Erdogan coming down, or Putin coming down to Erdogan in Turkey to propose an alliance. And the alliance here, these talks are expected to focus on energy cooperation, with Ankara seeking not only reduction gas prices from Russia, but also greater import volumes ahead of winter, as well as key diplomatic issues. Now, again, isn't it strange that Putin would fly to Turkey and supposedly for Turkey to then be asking concessions from Russia around gas? So here's my proposition is Russia wants to do a gas deal, a long-term gas deal with Turkey, because Turkey was potentially a gateway into Europe, and Turkey had been a supply potential for all his gas fields that were found in Israel. And now, if you go back and you look at Ezekiel 38 and 39, this Russian-led alliance is coming down to Israel to take spoil. And there's a hook in the jaw of the Russian leader to bring him down. Lots of people have said now the major gas, and there's major oil field finds, but major gas field finds for Israel would be a huge threat as well as a huge target for Russia, because Russia's got a near lock on gas supply to Europe. I think he's over 60% now. If Israel all of a sudden builds a pipeline up into Europe, it would completely collapse the Russian economy. And thought of a different way, if Russia goes and somehow gets Israel's gas fields, he would have a complete lock with huge supplies for a long time. And so there you go. There's a real interesting, I guess, set of situations. Now, I want to just kind of back that up with some more stuff here. I don't know if you guys saw this. Let's see here. This is Times of Israel. Israel pitches massive natural gas pipeline plan to Europe. Now, this is back November. Well, I guess it's today. Maybe this is a current article here. I saw this first, I saw this first like a couple weeks ago, and this is saying November 20th. So Sylvain Shalom proposed a multi-million euro idea to fellow energy ministers in Rome. Project would reduce EU's dependence on Russia. So I think that is huge, because this is hitting straight at Russia's, key export, that's basically the only thing holding up that economy. And Israel, with this massive gas field finds, would potentially be able to supplant Russian dominance in gas to Europe, and both Eastern and Western Europe. And so this is significant now. So let's just drill into this a little bit more. So here you got that article that we saw on the blog. Erdogan hosts Putin, and this is today out of the Times of Israel. Erdogan hosts Putin to tighten the Turkey-Russia alliance. So I just want to weave something, because if Turkey is behind supplying and ISIS, if Turkey is behind that, which the articles for a couple of years now seem to demonstrate, that Russia had been really upset with Turkey because Turkey was basically trying to topple with NATO the Syrian government. And there was a big rift between them. And now, as these articles are talking about, the rift is closing, and the relations, it's talking about right here, Russia and Turkey appear so far to successfully shield their strong relations from potentially damaging disputes over the crisis in Syria and Ukraine. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that why Putin goes to Turkey is this could be the alliance. The Ezekiel 38 and 39 says that God crafts I forget how it's stated, like an evil plan. I should have brought up the passage. But what if not only is this a gas deal to help keep Israel out of Europe, but what if the agreement is, okay, Turkey, Russia will let ISIS take Syria, and we see that in Isaiah 17, and in exchange, Turkey, you're going to side with us to take the Israeli gas fields. And I know that's kind of a big boom, but boy, it sure seems plausible at this point that there's a bigger deal afoot, and it would explain why Putin would come down to Turkey. If Turkey wanted price concessions for the winter, they would be flying up to Russia. Why would Russia come down to Turkey? Well, if the agreement was something like, we'll let you have Syria, in exchange, you're backing us to take the Israeli gas fields, that would cement that whole scenario. In Ezekiel 38 and 39, it would explain why you've got Isaiah 17, where Damascus, is destroyed in a day, and how you get Turkey back aligned with Russia solid in that taking, or in that attempted taking of Israel. So that's what's rolling through my head today, Saints. I'd encourage you to come through and look at these articles. I have one more up here I think was related. Oh, this is that that article that relates to Turkey supplying ISIS. So I don't know. This is a big deal if you ask me. You got Russia opening up a new command center for the next war. You've got Putin going down to visit Erdogan to strike a deal over gas, but it's certainly got to be more than price concessions to benefit Turkey. That had to have been bigger than that. Then you've got more evidence of Turkey supplying ISIS, hundreds of trucks a day is what this says. And so that is consistent with the history of this whole thing. And then you can see how this would probably be Ezekiel 38 war really being cemented right here. So I'll leave you with that, Saints. I hope you guys get a chance to see these articles here. I'll link them down below. God bless.